Curtis Calhoun here with MMA News, and right now I am joined by UFC featherweight Damon Jackson, who is fresh off his win over Dan Argueta this past weekend at UFC Vegas 56. Damon, how's it going, man?
It's going good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Congrats again on the win. Just a couple days after the fight, what are your thoughts on your performance, and did anything about the fight itself surprise you and your coaches at all?
It wasn't really so much like what he did. It was just how my body reacted to everything. So I had a pretty good weight cut. So it was kind of weird when I went to the fight. My legs were just like rock solid. Like I like something like I didn't rehydrate right or so. I'm not sure what happened. So that's kind of what really surprised us because I knew I was going to beat him wrestling and jiu-jitsu. I knew I was going to beat him, and I knew that was his strong point. But nothing really surprised me about him. It was more just like myself with being, not feeling 100%.
Have you dealt with anything like that in the past before your other fights?
Yeah. Actually, the Charles Rosa fight not that long ago, very similar thing happened. So I've got to work with a nutritionist on the next one, and maybe like some kind of just like getting a rehydration plan, getting that together like a few weeks out and really figuring out what was going on. Cause I cut the weight good. I had a good weight cut. It wasn't like, I mean, it sucks for sure, but it wasn't horrible. So I think maybe I rehydrated a little too quickly, or, maybe I didn't do it enough or what. I'm not really sure.
I gotcha. And Argueta's fought most of his career at bantamweight, moved up to featherweight, of course, for this one. How did he feel in there? Did he surprise you in terms of how he was able to perform, given the jump up in weight?
Um, like going back to what I like the other thing was like I was not 100%
Hmm.
on me at 80% would have destroyed him the first round. Like when I took him down, he didn't feel that strong. I controlled him well. He did have a strong core, a strong lower body. So whenever I had my body lock on, it was hard for me to get him off top of me. And I think it was a combination of me having a weird weight cut and then also him sitting on top of me, like whenever I had my hooks in. So maybe that was a part of um, part of like my legs hurting as bad as they did. So, but I'm trying not to really think about that one. It's like it wasn't the best performance, but it was a win, and I gotta get ready for another fight, as soon as possible.
I gotcha, man. And he started to pick up a little bit of steam in that final round there, but obviously you finished the job. How valuable do you think your experience was in that situation, especially later on in the fight, being able to get through that late war and coming out with the win?
Yeah, I think that was huge. I think him not getting the takedown and him getting reversed in that position and getting taken down himself really messed with him mentally. And I think that's what kind of like set the end where it was just kind of like he was okay with being there. And so, definitely experience goes a long ways for sure. But he was a solid wrestler, and he had good lower body strength. But I was prepared for that. I was training with some really hard guys, so it was that's why it was so frustrating to not be 100% in the middle of the fight. So, I can't really say a whole lot about it. I'm just ready to get back in there and kind of have another performance as soon as possible, just to kind of make up for it.
I got you, man. And one last question about that fight specifically, and then we'll move on to what's next. On the
Yeah,
broadcast, it sounded like Cub Swanson and your corner were exchanging words throughout the fight, especially later on. I guess what
yeah.
was said, and I guess did that bother you at all? And what was going on
I
there?
mean, it was more confusing. I was like, so you got this kid talking to my coach, saying stuff to my coach, and then you got Cub over there talking to me. And I'm like, why don't you just coach your fighter? Like, why don't you shut up and coach your prodigy, whoever this kid is to you? Like, I don't know what he is to Cub. I know he's been training with Cub for a while, and that's why I knew he was gonna be prepared for the fight. But I was like, why don't you, instead of talking to me and instead of talking to my coach, why don't you actually be a coach and talk to your player or whatever? It's like, you're sitting over there running your mouth to me because you don't know what to say, because you don't know what to do. Because if I put him on his back, he would do the same thing. He would just sit there and not know what to do. So, like he's running his mouth, and I told him after the fight, I'm like, hey man, we're in the same weight class. If you want to run it up, let's go. Like so, Darren Elkins was my first on my list. I wanted to fight. I want that fight. But if Cub wants to go, like I'm down. Let's go.
I gotcha, man. And 3-fight winning streak right now. Obviously, got to feel good. What do you feel like the biggest difference has been in your game over this 3-fight winning streak compared to your last loss against Ilya Tapuria?
Ilya just caught me with a different game plan than I was expecting from him, and I wasn't prepared for that fight. I wasn't prepared for the boxing style where he was going to come in and hit me and whatever. And so since then, I've just kind of like I've been preparing with all different types of athletes. I'm not looking for a stand-up fighter. I'm not looking for a wrestler. I'm looking for someone that's well-rounded. So in our gym, we have a lot of guys that are good, a little bit good everywhere, and we have a couple of guys that are really good in certain areas. So coach has been mixing it in to where I'm doing rounds with everyone and not just one person for my whole camp. And I think that's huge. And then honestly, it's just the experience of going through that again, kind of refreshing that in my head that could happen. So it's got me motivated for sure. I just want to keep moving forward and keep that momentum with the 3-fight win streak. I want to make it 4, and I want to fight, someone that's going to put me in the mix of the top 15.
Definitely. And what's your post-fight routine usually like? Do you like taking a couple days off before getting back in the gym, or do you prefer getting back in
Yeah.
there? I see I'm catching you on the move today. What are you doing right now?
I was actually just got done training. I had 4 sessions today, training people. Tonight I was gonna do some cardio and some no-gi, just real light. And then tomorrow I'll leave for Mexico. So I'll be gone for a week for that. So I usually take about a week off and don't do a whole lot of anything. But for this time, I'm gonna keep my weight low and I'm not gonna be eating so much. And I'm gonna make sure that I keep my weight low so I can use that last weight cut for my future camp, whatever it is. I would like to roll that weight into this next camp and not have to lose any weight. So I'm trying to stay focused and keep that momentum going with this win streak and with staying active.
And then in terms of a time frame for a return, obviously I feel like that UFC 277 card makes the most sense for you, being in the Dallas
Man,
area, growing up in that area. Is that kind of the target as of right now?
man, I would just I would love that. I would do anything. I would fight anybody for that spot. It would be really cool to fight here. Just like that's the plan. That was my plan whenever they made the announcement. I already had this matchup, so it was too late to pull out. And then when Derek pulled out, I was like, well, I already have a trip planned with my kids, so I don't want to fight any other day. So let's stick with this, and I'll try to make it to where I don't take any damage. I can go right into a short notice fight for Dallas, and that's that was kind of in my head, but I don't know how realistic it is.
I love it. In terms of, you mentioned earlier, Darren Elkins, what intrigues you about that matchup? Why do you feel like that matchup makes the most sense for you?
Um, he either has the most fights in featherweight or the most wins in featherweight. I can't remember which one it is, but I think it's most wins. So, I mean, he's right there. He's either right above me or right below me. So it's not like out of the question for me to ask for that fight. It's not like I'm trying to like ask for a top 5 fight. I want to stay active, and I know that he wanted to fight in August. So that's pretty close to August, July 30th. That's about as close as it gets. So,
Yeah.
I would love that fight, man. I know he's down to fight, and I know that he said he was ready to go at that time. So, hopefully it works out. And if Cub wants to run it up and he wants to talk smack and do all of his Cali BS with his, tattoos and all of his gangster stuff, like if he wants to do that stuff, like let's go. Like I'm not gonna talk smack to you. I'm not gonna say anything to anybody. I would love to fight Darren Elkins. I would love to fight Cub. I would love to fight, freaking Bryce Mitchell. Like, I mean, I would just I want to fight. I want to stay consistent. If breaking in that top 15 makes it to where I'm not consistent, I'm going to be frustrated. But, I definitely want to stay consistent. I definitely want to stay active and fight in Dallas. That would be awesome.
Couple more questions for me before we wrap things up here. I want to talk a little bit about your coach, Sayif Saud. Just kind of talk about the impact that he's had in your career to this point, and how big has it been to have a motivator like him in the corner? We hear him on the broadcast and all that, especially during your fights.
Yeah, I mean, it goes a long ways whenever you have that confidence to where you have someone that can tell you the right thing at the right time. And he's definitely the guy that he doesn't let off the pedal. Like when it's time to put on the gas, like he's ready to go and he's ready to do whatever it takes to get that win. And I think that his consistency in practice, he's the same way. So like the consistency of having that at practice and then having that during fight night, that goes a long ways too. So I think a lot of coaches are kind of like when they get out in the spotlight, they turn it on and they like say all this dumb stuff, and it, like you're like, what? Who are you? And then like in practice, they're like super quiet and chill. So he's that way all the time. He expects nothing but the best from everyone. So it's amazing to have him as a coach, and it's definitely he's the best coach in the game for sure.
And last question from me: what can UFC fans expect from you for the rest of the year?
Well, you can expect me to not take any shit. So if anyone calls me out on Twitter or whatever, I'm gonna take the fight. And I just uh I just sit here and say that I want to fight, and no one's calling me out. So they asked 8 different guys to step up that were in the UFC, and this kid, stepped up on a short notice and came up a weight class, and he took the fight because he wanted his way in. So those guys that want their way in like that, that's the way to do it. And for me, I'm waiting to fight as soon as possible. I want that Dallas card so bad, and if that doesn't happen, anywhere there's fans, I want to fight.
I love it. Well, before we go, I'll give you the chance to give any shout outs to your team, any sponsors you have, all that good stuff. I'll give you the final word.
For sure, man. Fortis MMA is always gonna be my team, and all my social media is Damon B Jackson. You guys can follow me on there. I don't have any sponsors or anything like that, so maybe we can hook something up later. But yeah, man, I appreciate the support from everyone, and yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Well, Damon, thanks again for the time. Congrats again on the win, and I'm sure we'll chat again soon. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.